Welcome to Tequila Aficionado's Open Bar. I'm Lisa Peach, and this is...
I am Mike Morales doing last-minute social media for the show. We just wanted to make sure, too, that our pals at Nectar Blends are going to be on tonight. Yeah, I want to make sure they're getting online. By the way, this is going to be an interesting show for us because I should probably preface this by telling you, if you've lived anywhere where there's a small neighborhood bar, or you've lived in a control state, or you live
where everybody knows your name,
but they only have an a beer and wine license. Okay, then you have probably gone into a place where they have on the menu.
They've got you a beer margarita.
No, they have a margarita on the menu, okay, even though they don't sell liquor. Right?
How do they do that?
How
do they do that, Mike?
They do. They do that, but don't look so surprised.
Okay, how do they do that?
They do that by letting the dog out, first of all.
Okay.
And then, she'll be right back. I lived in New Mexico for 18 years, and there's a lot of small, hole-in-the-wall, mom-and-pop places that are actually known for their food more so than their, beer and wine and liquor. It's sometimes, depending on how old your state is, some of those liquor licenses are very expensive, or they cost a lot of money. So rather than, when you're starting on a shoestring budget and you want to start a new restaurant or bar, a lot of these places prefer
have to serve a margarita.
Well, yeah, especially if you got a Mexican food place, right? Or an Italian food place, or
kind of margarita.
You got to have some kind of margarita, and that's where these well, there's really only one, but now there's another one.
See a need, fill a need. Right?
There has always been what we call gosh, what do they call it? It's agave wine, and you'll probably see it at some liquor stores as well. It's technically not a wine. It's technically not a liquor.
Like wine.
Yeah,
but it's not tequila.
But yeah, it may even have a small amount of tequila in it. If you've ever had
tequila,
no, not really. It's not even real tequila. It's very rarely, if ever, made with a 100% tequila. So now there's really only one that we've ever had. I know that I've been in some places where they serve it, and it's developed and made to smell like a Jose Cuervo margarita with the booze in it. Okay. And
mixto.
Yeah, it smells like mixto.
Why would anyone ever aspire to taste like a mixto?
You got.
Why would you do that?
But
why would they do that, Mike?
On a shoestring budget?
Still.
Hey, when all else fails, use an agave wine. So there's one particular brand of agave wine. I forget the name of it. It's been around forever. I'm sure you folks have seen it. You've seen it at the bottom shelf. It's maybe no more than $10. It's extremely inexpensive. And, if you want to make a quick ready-made margarita, you pour it over ice, you shake it up. Maybe you add more tequila in it. I don't know. But, it's there. Now, the cool part about what's going on is that these guys approached us. These guys they're Craig Ross and his partner Jonathan, and they approached us just recently, late last year, with something they were experimenting with. They originally called it Honey Rita. Now it's called Nectar Blends. Yeah, there they are. They're calling in. So they call this a gourmet agave wine. Hi guys, we're explaining to the audience what agave wine is if they've never actually had any
agave wine.
But I'm sure lots of tequila drinkers and margarita lovers have had it somewhere. And the interesting thing is that the two of you guys started what you're calling a gourmet agave wine, and what what makes it gourmet is what you guys are going to tell us all about. Craft. And literally, this isn't. We're not just throwing that word around because it's popular. This is literally a craft product. So we're gonna introduce. First of all, are you John or Craig? Hi, Jonathan. I'm Mike. This is Lisa. We've spoken on the phone. We never actually met.
You hear us?
And that's Craig in the background. So first of all, tell our watchers and listeners,
Craig,
where did you guys meet, and have you always been in? I know Craig's been in tequila, for a while.
Let's start at the beginning. Why would you decide to make an agave wine?
Well, yeah. How come?
Well, it sort of started as a lark. We, like you say, tequila was always our go-to drink. We're not big on, the bourbons and stuff. And Craig brought some tequila up one night because he had a sore throat and stuff, and so he mixed some honey in with it. And, Mexican cough syrup or something, right?
I was down at a friend's house in Mexico, and I had kind of a cold, and his Mexican neighbors, really nice people. The gentleman, he said that he had some Mexican cough syrup that's been in his wife's family for years, hundreds of years or whatever. And, I did a shot of it, and it was just basically honey and tequila.
And so he brought it up here, and I've got some mint growing in my patio here. And so I thought, hey, let's crush up some mint and throw that in there. We both, our eyes opened up and said, hey, that's really nice. That's really good. And from there, we kind of kept on multiplying, basically culinary herbs. So your use of the word gourmet
is right in there.
Somehow kind of clicks, And we kept adding things and trying, okay, it's too much of this, and just making kind of batches of 3 bottles at a time, because we'd make a concentrate enough to do 3 bottles, and we loved it, We kept tweaking it here and there over probably a good year, and of course testing it with our friends, and everybody seemed to really like it, and we thought, stupidly, maybe we could sell this.
Don't you just love those really bad ideas?
Right. But yeah, we could make this in my garage, But no, we had to get the licenses and all that stuff. And then Craig hooked in with our partners down in Mexico. We just sort of found them on the internet. And it sounded really interesting what they had. And so we made an exploratory trip down there and really hit it off with them. Real small company, a couple brothers and a helper, the secretary.
We're a team of 5. We're 2 Mexican brothers from Mexico City, a really nice young lady from Sinaloa, and 2 guys from San Diego. And we're one big, really nice. It just feels great. It's a good match. Everybody, if somebody was missing from the team, then there would be something missing. So we're really a team of 5.
We've got broken Spanish, and the brothers got broken English.
But Patricia keeps it all together.
The young girl can speak both. So
she's amazing.
She makes it work.
Absolutely amazing.
She makes it work.
So we do good, and we have fun, and we all eat together like a family for a couple weeks, and come home for production exhausted, and have a food baby from all the wonderful food in Guadalajara that we eat every day. I mean, the food is so amazing there. It's just amazing. So we really have a fun time.
When you brought the original recipe, was the tequila 100% blanco?
The original recipe, when we didn't know anything, we thought we could just import a big tote of tequila to San Diego and rectify, make it here. And once you learn that it's a little complicated, and then also, you know, the whole agave wine, I've been drinking, I grew up near the border in Bonita, and so I went to a lot of quinceañeras growing up and had a lot of friends and watched a lot of Mexican gentlemen sip their tequila. So I was really, when in my 20s, I was all about the white oak and Yejos, and I just drank them and loved them. And Tonala, I think, was my favorite, because back then there was not a lot of white oak back then. You know, now there's the Casanovas and lots of stuff, but back then Tonala was great. I'd go down to the Mexican Old Town Market. That gentleman that owns that liquor store there used to always turn me on to the Tonala, and we just love the vanilla cinnamon smooth, you know. And that's kind of was, and then I met him. We became friends first, and he had the same taste. He loved that really smooth sipping tequila, you know, vanilla white oak type smoothness, and that was really kind of I think what's inspired us really to make something smooth and easy sipping. Yeah.
And the timing was just fortunate too, because I had, you know, we had moved into the area. I was recently retired, and so I had time on my hands. And Craig was looking for
new job. I lost my job with a Mexican corporation that they moved out of our state, and so I you know, and I was looking for a job and thinking of different opportunities, and so it just kind of happened.
We kind of went from ignorance, you know, but we never
ignorance and determination.
But we never, you know, we were waiting for a hurdle to come along that we couldn't get over, but it never really came.
Well, that's like I say, you know, don't you just love those bad ideas, you know, that flourish something really, nothing that you had even thought about, you know. Now, explain. I know that you, like I say, you and I, we've spoken extensively. Finally, right?
It's finally glad to meet.
Hey, you guys.
This is our first interview.
So far,
ever,
you guys
so
are doing great.
We're on permanent record now. You're the first one to give us a tattoo.
Why you went as far as in the craft? I guess you, for lack of calling it anything else, you know.
Because we've been bootstrapping this, and our first formula was actually a reposado. But when we ran into challenges, or, you know, with our initial plan, some gentleman actually here that makes a small distillery said to me, "Why don't you try agave wine?"
Did you try it? Did he have a sample of the tried
and so I.
It's awful.
No. To be honest, I've never even tried agave wine before. Right.
We learned that when we first went down to Mexico and met our partners down there.
Everything happens for a reason. It was like a blessing in disguise for us, I think.
They had some stuff that they were adding flavors to and everything, you know. And he said, "Well, what do you mean? You can't drink this stuff by itself." And we thought, what are we down here for? But it had a really earthy, you know, real tequila plant kind of flavor to it.
What now?
And
explain to us about the recipe. I know it has evolved. What I have here is I have batch number 1, which at the time, now, you know, and I was going to ask you, does it normally darken like this? Have you? I know that this was batch number 1, and of course it's been a while since I've opened it since you were awarded the Brand of Promise award for agave wine, because
that batch was 16.5%. Yeah. Since it's been in the bottle half opened for a year, it's probably getting dark. when it's that same batch we put on reserve, and it's aging nicely. It's aging. We haven't the bottles that haven't been opened.
The newer
yet
batch,
very
batch
nicely
number 2 is
first
significantly
batch.
lighter. What are you doing differently now for batch number 2? Because I know that you asked to resubmit batch number 2. So this is the new and improved version. What are the differences between one and the other?
Right.
The first batch, there's a little more of the fermented blue agave, and
the percentage is a little bit less.
Yeah, the second batch we bumped up the percentage. The third batch is going to say 18% on the bottle. Our new batches are going to be 18%. And the nice thing about that is yeast still can live at 16.5%. So we had to add a little sulfites to the first batch, just a tiny bit, way under what you would normally add to wine, because tequila is already pretty nice. It kills a lot of things, But once you bump it up to 18, we're going to eliminate any sulfites or anything that we need to add to it.
But we wanted to get something that was a little lighter and more. You could taste the silver tequila in a little bit more, and we made about 3 times as much with the second batch, and so when you do that, you never really know how your recipe is going to work out.
I have not tried batch number 2.
But we're really happy with the second batch.
I was kind of saving it because Alex and I have not done our sipping off the cuff for the resubmit of batch number 2. We love batch number 1 because he worked in the wine business, the liquor business, and so have I. I mean, like I say, I've lived in areas where traditionally the agave wine goes to these mom and pop stores that only have a beer and wine license and offer a margarita. So I was familiar with the flavor profile of the original, agave wine. It wasn't anything I would pursue, but I thought this was it was like a complete 180 because it doesn't smell anything as offensive. It's more herbal. It reminds me of a tea, and so I was intrigued. And then when you guys sent us the bottles, I said, wow, this is not. Yeah. See, previously to that, I had been I was asked to participate in a food show in Pasadena. Now I live in Texas now, but at the time I was in Pasadena, and the company that actually handles the agave wine, Franklin Distillers, was sampling it. And I hadn't had it in years, not since I left New Mexico. And I retasted it. It was just exactly as horrible as it always was. So when I tasted yours, I thought, wow, this is really different. And now you guys are in San Diego County. You're in San Diego. What kind of – neither one of you have had experience in the liquor business, correct?
Right.
No. Okay,
so
just patrons of good agave beverages.
Yeah. I have a good friend who has a winery, up in Napa Valley, and I watched him build his business. So I saw all the hoops that he had to jump through, and then I told him about our venture, and he said, "Are you sure you want to get into the alcohol business?" But it's a much smaller scale. So
and I have a good friend that is a bottling manager at a big Napa winery, and I've become friends with all his friends because we go on mountain trips and stuff together. And so other than those Napa people,
what are your successes that you've discovered in San Diego? Because right now you're really literally the startup. You're starting from ground zero, and you're presenting something. San Diego is a fairly it can be a fairly lucrative property or territory, but it has. I used to live in PB I know there's bars in OB, so you have like two separate markets that you can deal with. And so you're actually trying to say hi to the cat. This is Freddie.
Right.
Say you're trying to deal with both two separate segments of the market, and you're succeeding. Tell us how you're doing that.
Well, that's just our local community right there. We kind of live on the border of La Jolla and Pacific Beach. So the nice thing is we kind of both are kind of our communities a little bit. So we're just test driving it.
And Craig grew up here. I moved from the East Coast 20 years ago or so, but he grew up here, and he's got a pretty good network of guys that work as bartending and work in that business.
We're just trying to reach out to our community to start with, to be honest with you.
Right. Well,
why not?
But the beautiful part about, like I said, agave wine
how are you gonna go anywhere else?
It's like mixto tequila. It's got a really bad reputation. Exactly, and I know that you've distinguished yourself from the only other agave wine that I know of, and but you've been really successful in it. And what I'm trying to lead at is, how are you presenting this to both segments of that market? How are you getting any resistance, or are people really? Are you finding that the mixologists in the area are very open-minded and very receptive?
Well, the second batch came out, I think, better than we even thought it would, and so we're leaving it with the pros. We want to have the really talented bartenders in the community give a shot at it first.
Which is a little time consuming, because first you got to make a relationship, make a date for having a tasting, and then give them a bottle or two, and they can, on their half hours they can mix up some different fruits or anything, flavors. They like to get their own.
But that's a completely different thing, as opposed to agave wine, the original agave wine, because all they could do was salt the rim, throw a lime in it, serve it either on the rocks or frozen, and call it a margarita. What you're telling me is that
the times have changed. This sort of relationship building that they're doing, that's how you get into the market nowadays. You've got to build those one-on-one, those personal, local relationships, and that's a great way to go. But it's got to be time consuming.
Important. It is, and Roger Klein, on your last week's interview, when you asked him about if he's going to branch out with new, Bacanora and we want to start coming out with new formulas first, but we have a nice formula now. And when we first got in the business, our partners told us, got to be patient in the alcohol business. And it's a lot like sailing. You can see the point conception where you want to go, but you just can't motor over there. You better relax and read a book or something for the next couple hours. It's a little, you gotta really be. And it's really hard.
With us at Tequila Aficionado, we're such a niche market because it's all agave, and when you look at the liquor segment, period, tequila is always bringing up the rear because of the length of time it takes for it to grow to begin with. The materia prima, the prime material, it already it takes 8 years to grow. So it's, no matter how hard they try, it's never going to be up there with whiskeys and vodkas, because it's not something that renews yearly. So I can only imagine trying to carve out a niche within a niche, But what I was getting at was that the beautiful part about the Nectar blends is that it lends itself to the creativity more so than the original agave wine. And
yeah. We've never tried the original agave wine. You're talking to old añejo drinkers, and now we're starting to like the Bacanora and the mezcals. I really have I haven't tasted of, I like Satols and Bacanora. I haven't even got into mezcals yet, but I'm looking forward to it. I like the whole agave industry, and we're not trying to be like tequila, and we respect tequila and we respect all of the different 100% de agave beverages that are coming out now. I mean, I've only tasted a few mezcals, and we're just the industry is blooming. It's getting broader and nicer.
A little bit
about a lot more good tastes out there.
When you're approaching your markets, you have some of the nice higher end restaurants in La Jolla. And then you have some of the other places that, like an OB or PB that I used to frequent. And you're approaching, like, for instance, you had a wonderful success yesterday during Mother's Day.
Right.
With a beautiful craft cocktail with strawberries for those who don't want to do mimosas.
Well, listen, how did that happen?
Yeah, how did that work out?
That.
Yeah. Well, the same reason our motivation for coming out with this drink is both of us, we were friends first, but we had this thing about us is we like tequila, but you have to be really, obviously, if you make a good margarita, it's real good, but there's so many bad ones out there that we just liked tequila. And so we wanted to come out with kind of something a little smoother and less acidic than a regular hardcore, deeply, flavored margarita. Mm-hmm. Something a little lighter, a little smoother, a little more easy sipping, like Añejo's easy sipping, easy sipping.
We've been pleasantly surprised at how adaptable this batch 2 is to, different flavors. We even have tried it in hot tea, and it's great. It works really well with citrus.
So who farm did you have to break
the nose
to
on
get
the
on
second
a Mother's
batch
Day
came out better than
menu
the first batch.
instead of a mimosa?
Yeah, what restaurant? What place are we talking about? Who's your client?
Who was the bartender? Who was the restaurant? Who came up with this idea?
It's in Burger.
So that's what I was leading to. Just like I really don't like margaritas. I'm not a huge fan of champagne, especially like the house champagne at your average. Too much tire. It makes, just wanted to come out with a champagne alternative. And I was working with the head bartender, and I was thinking that we were going to come out with a simple syrup orange kind of mimosa, and the head bartender at Beaumont's sent me a text that morning and showed me the strawberry one, and I said, "That's great, Mama loves strawberries."
I love.
And he's like, "Well, that's going to be the name of it."
Is so.
And so between those collaboration,
yeah. And it was just timing that Mother's Day was right there, and they do big brunches and everything, so it fit right in.
But I mean, just because it's not $100 a bottle and it doesn't say on the label how great it is, just like a grape wine drinker, whether it's a $100 bottle or a $10 bottle, and whatever it says on the label, a good wine drinker will know if it's good stuff or not right off the bat. He doesn't need to be told. And we got, our partners, we have a really nice, the spirit aspect of it is the tequila aspect of it is, we just got lucky. We have a real good, nice source, and it's very clean and doesn't give you a hangover, and it has all the characteristics of a really
that
nice
they
tequila.
Won't share with me where they're getting their.
We want to have a nice buzz and no hangover.
It's like a trade secret.
No, I call it blowback. Blowback. It's heartburn. bad tequila makes you crazy, makes you tired. It's just good tequila. It has a nice buzz, and there's really no blowback, no negatives, and that's this drink has those characteristics. And so
we had a couple fans over last night, and we drank more than we really planned, and should have.
Because I can tell you that,
but no headaches today. And so, and that's
just for kicks and giggles, you guys should really source out the original agave wine, just so you can have something to compare it with, because you'll hate it. You'll hate it. Yeah, it's you can't miss it.
What's the name?
It's just look at the bottom. It's usually at the bottom shelf where the mixers are, and it's horrific.
I think I've seen it.
Tell me how the other segment of the markets are, because generally speaking, there's some places that that are featuring or want to feature your agave wine in shots, but you're not calling it that, right? Yeah.
Oh, as far as the shots we're coming out with in Ocean Beach this month? Well, it's a tricky one because we have a new tricky drink. They're not the pucker shots. They're the easy shots, the easy sipping shots. But at the same time, they're great to do the whole thing at once. And we're trying to think of, all the names have been taken. So we thought of a crush, just crush it. My longtime friend at the Ocean Beach head bartender, he said, why don't we make a Mexican candy crush? And I said, crush? That sounds, crush it.
So instead of salt around the rim, we got sugar with some, flavoring as well.
Right. So we have an agave sour, and a Mexican candy coming out this month.
I was so jazzed when I tasted it because, like I said, the old agave wine is so one-sided, and yours really does lend itself to this creativity. And I think we spoke a little bit about, traditional tequila drinkers, and every once in a while, Lisa will attest to this, I will drink my version of a sangrita, which is, an accompaniment, and I don't even make it. I buy V8, the spicy hot, and to me that's my sidecar, my accompaniment, my sangrita. And you guys are kind of doing the same thing where they're not going to drink it all, but they're gonna. It's a companion drink, something you compare with a. I'm sure you compare it with a beer too, right?
Yeah.
Well, as I don't know if you know, but rice wine and agave wine do have one same characteristic, and that is they're both registered by the federal government as agricultural wines.
Right.
So we all know sake is a sidecar. You have your Sapporo and you have your sake. Well, for example, that agave sour shot that's at Ocean Beach makes a great sidecar to a Pacifico. So there are some sake characteristics to agave wine, craft agave wine.
So the beautiful part about Nectar Blends, and I'm gonna ask you to explain your logo here shortly. But the beautiful part about Nectar Blends is that you're discovering now that it's not just, you're not just pigeonholed in the mom and pop Mexican food place. You're actually in some of the really neater places in San Diego.
Well, they're doing something completely new.
Yeah.
They've broken that mold.
That mold is all gone now. Yeah. You've actually just started to blaze a trail.
Yeah.
Every 100% agave product, from mezcal to bacanora to sotol to Mexican to racia, every 100% agave product we should all be working on raising the bar on it. So, I mean, that's what we're trying to do with the agave wine. We're really, we respect anything that's 100% agave, and we feel that agave wine should be on its own respectable level of appreciation,
was a necessity
rather than just being
for those mom and pop places or the control states, or the BYOB places back east. Whereas now it's you guys have come up with something totally out of left field, and she hasn't had Lisa hasn't tried. She hasn't tried the number 2 batch.
Try it neat first so you can get the nose on it. The nose, we think, kind of is a tropical floral smell.
Well, I know that I have in front of me here some info that you sent me about number 2, and I think you sent me your story, and
really
that's the first draft, and. Yeah, and
our first draft.
I can't stress enough how cool this is, because it's a simple bottle. You're really obviously you're a bootstrap operation, but you're spending the money on the relationship part of it, and being respectful to where you come from the roots of the agave wine itself. I love this logo. Explain to me, for those of you who can see it, this is a really cool logo. And by the way, you can find these guys on Facebook. I think you're exploring Twitter a little bit, probably. But explain to us about the logo, because I thought it was really cool what this looks like. It looks like this reverse imprinted in stone kind of thing. It looks like some of the stuff you see in pyramids. So
yeah. Well, the first flavor we got with this was the honey. We added honey to it, and this is like, we went through a lot of images and we found this bee goddess that we sort of manipulated around, added a few things, and we actually had a guy make us a 3-dimensional piece. That's where the image came from. We just photographed that.
We figured if we're going to add any sweetener, we might as well add the top shelf of all the sweeteners, which is of course honey. And what better to roll it out than a bee goddess, because she's, and then there was a Phoenician bee goddess online, a little artifact, and Jonathan and I made a little black line and brought it to a gentleman in Balboa Park that's part of the sculpting guild, and he happened, and he was, I called all over trying to do a tile, because we didn't have a lot of money, so we wanted 3D on our labels. So instead of a graphic design 3D, we figured might as well better make a tile, because that's going to show some 3D without spending $3,000 on a graphic design. and he made this beautiful tile. I called all over and really had a hard time finding a sculptor that could make a terracotta tile. And we were so lucky that we found one, and he happens to be very talented, and we're blessed that he made a nice tile for us. And then the graphic design aspect of it, my friend for 20 years, Terry, she graphically designed the colors.
For those of you who are more traditionalist as far as the agave spirits and such, you also give if you look very closely, you also give props to the agave and the bat. You guys have a murciélago on that's really the first time I've ever seen that, other than on a rum. But I thought that was very, very cool. See,
we love agave, and the more we can talk about it's just part of the history.
That is so cool.
That's our actual tile.
That is and because honestly, not knowing a whole lot about how you would come across the logo, I thought for sure this was a Adobe or it had been 3D'd in some way with shadows cast. I didn't know that it was an actual sculpture, an actual tile.
That is beautiful.
Yeah. Yep.
For the label,
Right.
we took the photo of the tile in the evening sun so we could get the sun coming down from above.
That's
Very nice
beautiful.
piece.
That's very cool. I
We
can't
can take
wait
this
for
along
the
to
t-shirt.
tastings and stuff too. It's kind of cool.
I can't wait for the t-shirt and the hoodie, because you know how quick that's going to go.
Right.
Great. Well, that's all coming. Yeah. No, that's in time.
We're still improving. It's an ever-improving venture. You know, we
So-
want to continually improve our product and our everything about it.
And the craft aspect of it, that's why we want to.
so each
do.
batch
This one's batch
will be
2,
different. I know
so we're
that
going
this
to
one,
number all our
having
batches.
batch number 2, which is the first time I've
So,
ever opened
no.
it since it was sent to me, honestly. I can already tell that it's way different than batch number 1.
That's really nice.
And you know, the what I love is, you know, margaritas, generally speaking, are a warm weather drink. And it's always a challenge for tequila companies, you know, even in just tequila brands in general, to keep, you know, their tequilas on a menu, especially during the cold weather. And what I love is that this looks like it's going to taste just as good in warm weather as opposed, you know, versus cold weather. So, you know, there's always that challenge of staying on that menu, staying in the forefront. And I can only imagine what the warm weather drinks are going to be like with Nectar blends. I have you had, you were telling me earlier it was really good as a tea, as a remedy for coughs.
If you heat up the tea too much, it'll vaporize the tequila, and you'll get kind of a vinegar going down your nose. So the teas have to be under that vaporization level of the spirit, and they're really nice. Our friends called us and said how much they started adding it to chamomile tea. I'm a green tea fan, but I tried it with green tea. And
so what you're saying is
they
shouldn't be as a hot tea
chamomile
so much
tea,
as
and they were really enjoying it.
just a warm tea. You know, we in Spanish we have a word that's it's
more.
The meaning is tepid, but in Spanish it's called tibio. So it shouldn't be hot; it should be tibio, and you know, not stevia, obviously, but that's something different. But so when you serve this, it should be at a little warmer than room temp. You know, like it's
right.
Not super hot.
If you're serving it as a tea dessert or a sake
so long as
style,
I've had sake, you know, and I forgot that sake is warm.
Sure.
You know, some people like it warmed or at room temp, but so.
Right.
Yeah.
That's just one of 20 different ways, though.
Yeah, we're just trying.
Sure it does.
We need a drink called the rabbit.
The rabbit hole goes
I can
deep.
see this. I mean, there's mint in there. I can taste mint in there. You could probably make a beautiful mojito sort of drink with that, and then the citrus comes out in it too. There's a lot of citrus in there. It would be a beautiful like lemonade or limeade. That would be lovely for out on the patio in the summer.
I can see where especially like for instance, in Texas, in the southern states, the sweet tea is very popular.
It would be active with sweet tea.
It would be an alternative to sweet tea.
Oh, I think you just throw it right in there.
Oh, really? Wow. Texas. You're coming to Texas, pal. Austin.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, the neat thing is I love that it's so versatile. And it seems like, look at the smile on their faces.
Yeah.
You guys haven't stopped smiling since you came online. And most often when you've seen a few of our open bars, we talk about how tough this business is, and we know, and people get pretty serious and they get in state. But what I love is that you guys are really enjoying yourselves while you're out there, pounding the pavement.
You've got to for all the work that you've got to be putting in. I mean, we know what kind of work people put in this business. So for all the work that you're doing to still be smiling, you're either drunk or you're really enjoying what you're doing.
No, I don't know.
So either way, cheers.
We love it. We're
That's great.
We're trying to keep the stress level down and have fun.
These recipes, are you accumulating them? Are we soon to see because we're going to see like neck tags with
we're
recipes,
accumulating all kinds of
I would imagine warm and cold recipes.
Good idea. Yeah.
Oh, good.
We have
Put them on Facebook.
We have the Del Mar Tequila Classic coming on the 19th, and we're gonna make quite a few different drinks. I'll share a new one with you. We're gonna do a blackberry cilantro lime margarita. Yeah. And then we're gonna do a cucumber celery, and we're gonna do a Mexican candy.
You're going through the whole spectrum.
It just goes on and on and on and on and on.
It sounds like you're really cooking with it, and you're not, but you're using these non-traditional seasonings, as opposed to And
I have some tamarindo. We have some tamarindo cooking in a tincture of tequila right now. Or we're going to add as a flavoring for some,
like peppers or things like that, or
Well, that was kind of the backbone of our whole how we really developed this drink. The first year out of our kitchens, we probably had 25 jam jars of tinctures, tequila soaking in different variations of whatever, different herbs. That's how how fruit and like tamarind dough
you guys
infuses into tequila. We can't wait. We're going to stick with this formula right now and develop the company before we choke ourselves with complication. Right. But we really can't wait to start creating new drinks.
That's great. You guys started out with really adventurous palates, and it's cool to see that you're bringing that to this. You're being very adventurous with the. First of all, with your bottling, having the different, I mean, it's like wine, every year is going to be different.
Yeah. Like a vintage.
But you've got these different vintages.
Instead of batches, you have vintages.
And then really good. Yeah.
Well, there are tequilas, for instance, that like Fortaleza, and Guillermo Salza, we know him. I know him personally. And, every time that's a Tahona-based tequila, and every time he puts one out, they call them lotes. One lot, like lot number one was amazing.
It's the same as a vintage.
Yeah, but it's the same as a vintage. And I think there are other tequilas that are out there like Ocho tequila. Yeah. They have them from different. It's a single estate tequila, and so one estate's going to taste different than the other estate, and the vintages from those estates all taste different as well. So this is really emulating the best of both worlds. You got the wine world because and your friends are involved. That you've learned from them. You got the tequila world, then you've got the mixologists who are. I gotta tell you, if you're a cocktail guy or a mixologist or a bartender who wants to help, who wants to amp up your creativity, try this, because you can't. No, there's nothing you can do with this thing that's going to make you look bad. It's, you know what? I years ago I used to raise horses, myself and somebody else.
That's what we did.
And I got to tell you that this is almost like a good horse. If you're a bartender, a good horse, if you can be the world's worst horseman, but a good horse always makes you look like a great charro. You know, and this is really like a good horse. I think honestly, I'm looking at this, and the what you're telling me is the versatility of it really lends itself to a cocktail guy's creativity. So I think it's like a really good horse that you know, you put a saddle on it and a blanket, and this horse is going to make you look great. It's like, you know, we just had the Kentucky Derby this past weekend. It's like Nyquist. I'm telling you, you're going to win the Preakness and the Belmont, because you know, there's, you know, if you've ever wanted to experiment with something that you wished you did, that it would translate from vodka maybe to tequila, or you're doing something different with gin, try it with this, because it won't be lost in translation.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah, and we were talking last night. You could add, like, you know, 2/3 of nectar blends with
I can
a
really
little bit
see
of
this.
mezcal, or
Either, you know,
silver
it's
tequila.
always easy to float what they call float a mezcal on top of a margarita, but you can do more than that with this, and as a great accompaniment, you know, like a sangrita, like a sangrita alternative. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. Well, but you know, that said, Mike, I personally, probably more than Craig, have a little frustration with this, because almost my favorite way to drink this stuff is just chilled right out of the bottle, like a white wine. You know what I mean? I don't even want to put a whole lot of ice in it, because it dilutes it a little bit, you know. But we haven't gotten the bartenders to really start pushing it that way yet. And so, and you know, then people can say, where can I get a bottle of this, you know? And if the place can sell bottles, then that's great for us too.
The nice thing is we're focusing right now on bars and restaurants, mostly just a couple of liquor stores that we already had, our community liquor stores we already had friends with. But, you know, we're not quite mature enough as a company to really hit the retail, Costco, you know, the Trader Joe's and the liquor stores. So in our bottles, since we're bootstrapping, you know, our bottles are very inexpensive, but it's working out great for the bars and restaurants, because we're just the product, they only have to pay for the product. They're not paying for the whole handmade,
really, you know,
$30 bottle or something.
The price point, I'm sure, is very attractive. You know, if anybody in the San Diego area or Southern California, wherever they're watching, sees this, which liquor stores can they find it? You know, can they find Nectar blends and start experimenting themselves with it? Well, just name a few. Name a few.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got to work on that, because we don't have too many liquor stores yet.
Okay.
Okay.
Heidi's liquor store.
Heidi's in North PB, on Turquoise Street.
And now that Beaumont's has taken us aboard, you know, we'll probably get the liquor box in La Jolla, and there's another liquor store in Pacific Beach, Magic Market. We might.
Is there any chance that maybe Old Town Liquors could get
are kind of the bulk of our focus right now? So.
You tell Zach Romaya from Mike Morales,
that's where I used to buy
he needs to put this on the shelves, because I'm telling you, this is really the versatility.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
It lends itself to a much wider audience, which is what his audience is. You know, because that's a shrine for tequila. You know, You go to San Diego. There's
people make their pilgrimage.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's tequila mecca for those of us,
That's the only place I used to buy my
I'm
tequila
from Southern California. I'm wearing a Baldwin Park t-shirt. This is where I grew up. And so, we knew growing up in Baldwin Park, when you go to San Diego, there are two places you go, the beach and you go to Old Town Liquors.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, right.
Well, he was. I always remembered he was just so informative and so nice. Like in my 20s is when I bought a lot of tequilas and añejos. I'm 45 now. That was a while ago, but I just recall him. That's where I got all everything from because he's so
I was
informative
a
and so
spirits in
pleasant
Mexico,
to talk
he was
to
also a judge. So we were all sequestered for 2 days, drinking over 115 tequilas. 111 blancos in one day. We went through a lot together. So Zach and I have a long history, and I am such a fan of this because of the versatility that it doesn't necessarily have to just be tequila. Now we're talking wines, we're talking infusions, we're talking sake, and when you guys are ready, and you'll know
it's a little
when you're
complicated
ready.
right now for us.
But I tell you, for anybody who's watching in the San Diego area, Southern California, if you're planning a trip to the beach, sometime soon, go find those liquor stores in OB. What other restaurants can they go taste Nectar blends? Name a few restaurants like in La Jolla. Oh, name your accounts. What the hell? Oh, okay.
We're at the patio in Mission Hills,
North Park,
with Chris Simmons and they're working on some other drinks too. They're making sangria right now with our first batch, the first batch really lends itself well to the sangria because it's a little bit earthier, stronger flavor,
So go see our guy Chris Simmons.
And we're on the menu there.
Patio, famous. Ask anybody where the patio is. They have 2 locations, right? As far as I know. Okay, the Mission Hills is where Chris is. Chris is
one in PB.
He's a big supporter of Agave Spirits. And now as far as I know, we have a card-carrying member of the Tequila Interchange Project. He's constantly doing trips back to tequila and exploring mezcal. So, if somebody of that caliber is experimenting and having a good time, having fun with Nectar blends, you can only imagine what anybody else in San Diego, California is doing. Yeah. Hey, he's got some good juice. One of those palettes. Honestly, when Nectar blends is ready to grow, we will. Tequila Aficionado and anybody who's watching us, I'm sure will be one of the first ones to jump on that bandwagon and support you guys. Because I think, first of all, the agave spirits industry is I think lends itself to the American dream, and starting something from scratch where you have your hands on it, and I think people are more conducive to that.
It appeals to connoisseurs. Yeah. It appeals to people who are, not necessarily drinking their wine out of a box anymore.
Exactly.
This appeals to connoisseurs because it's something to talk about. You take a sip and you taste what's going on in there, and there are a lot of different herbs and fruit flavors, and it's really lovely. This your second vintage is outstanding.
I can't wait for warm weather. I'm telling you,
this is Texas. We already have warm weather.
Yeah, but I mean, warm weather and then cold weather as well, because I think the warmer recipes are really going to shine with this with the how versatile this is. So I can't say enough about how really cool this product is.
Okay, let's let them talk. We've only got a few more minutes.
Okay.
What I love about what you said is the fruit flavors. And the idea, there are no fruits added to the first formula, to this formula. But what I love is that was one of our goals, was to infuse the correct herbs to give you the fruit notes without the citrus being in there. Because adding citrus to a bottle, the tequila tends to change the taste of the citrus, and we've always felt that you should always add fresh citrus to your tequila. So
to your glass instead of putting it in the whole batch.
Yeah,
that's great.
So we like the fact that
you
it
better
has
guard
this
this recipe like with your life. Put it in a safe somewhere. You know what? Get a trademark and get a patent on this recipe, because I'm telling you, this is I'm really, really impressed. I was impressed at the beginning with vintage number 1. So vintage number 2, everybody needs to go get it. Very well done. Congratulations, you guys. And
we like to put there.
We feel blessed we have this opportunity. We feel grateful and blessed that we have this opportunity.
And at the end of the day,
this
was really great. It's wonderful to be able to get you and your product out there.
Nectar blends.
So that people can look for it.
I'm telling you, brand this on your brain, ladies and gentlemen. You're going to want this. You're going to want it.
You were the first tequila aficionado and the only tequila aficionado we've even sent our stuff to.
Thank you.
Well,
so it's
congratulations,
like
because it's really well deserved. You guys have been doing a great job.
We do.
Continued success. Continue having fun. Watch the replay again. Watch how. This is neat. When you have entrepreneurs who are having a great time doing what they're doing,
that's so important.
It makes flying by the seat of your pants a hell of a lot more fun.
Right.
Thanks again for joining us on Open Bar. You guys rock. Great to meet you finally. Congratulations. Salute to all of you guys. And continued success, and keep me posted. Make sure you let me know where we can find you. Tell Zach I said hi.
Thanks again.
Take care, guys.
Yes.
Oh, that was cool.
That's really that is really a lot of fun in your mouth. That's with
there are so many possibilities.
That's fantastic. There's so many herbs in there. I mean, it tastes like there's a lot going on.
Personally, if I were a tequila guy, and I am, but if I were, I am. Okay. But Sangrita has always been the traditional sidecar accompaniment to a tequila, to a blanco or whatever. But I'd say this is an alternative to a Sangrita. And a really good one with blancos, and probably even better, warmed a little bit as a sidecar to an añejo. You guys would be really, really surprised, I think, how cool this product really is.
I say have it on ice with a twist of lime.
Hey.
Really great. We need to add that to some sweet tea.
I think so. Well, see, there we go. Sweet tea.
Yeah.
I think
that'll
work.
Thank you very much for joining us on Open Bar this week. Who do we have next week?
Next week, what's the date next week? I lose track. We're so busy booking.
It'll be a surprise.
It'll be a surprise to me, too.
Join us next week on Open Bar. Thank you.
Bye.